I wrote a book over the past couple of years and it's finally going to be published. Hi, welcome back to my channel where I talk about books, philosophy, and pretty much whatever I want. My name is Kate. Thank you so much for being here. Today is going to be sort of a chill talk about my thoughts on this whole process of writing a book, everything that has gone into writing it, making it, producing it, publishing it, all of those things. Because now that it's coming upon when I'm going to be releasing it on Amazon, it all just feels like it's rushing towards the end of a very long tunnel, because I've been working on getting my book published for the last 2.5 years at this point. I'm almost at the end of that tunnel, and it's just the most bizarre feeling. You know, when you're writing a book, for the most part, you're probably going to be doing it by yourself in an isolated room. No one's going to be bothering you. It's just you and a keyboard, or you and a pen and paper, or you and a typewriter even. I do own typewriters. And now it's about to be going from internal to external. People are going to read it. It's this vulnerable thing that I have never experienced before on something with this level, because this is my debut novel. I love it so much. I'm so proud of it, and I honestly can't believe that we're finally here. My book is a contemporary romance, friends to lovers, if you want to know the main trope of the story, and it's about resilience and overcoming difficult things and stumbling upon everything you've ever wanted in an unlikely place. The book is about 350 pages. I think one of my main takeaways that I've learned from writing a book is I will never, ever look at a book again and not just be in awe that it exists. Because in that book is so much inspiration, tenacity, teamwork, vision, all of these things that brought it into the world. I know just how much work goes into bringing a book into the world, and so it's really a very special thing. I started writing my book in 2022. I think it was March. And by the way, if you want to see the documentation of me going from starting the book to where I am right now, I do have 2 highlights on my Instagram that I keep up to date. So if you want to check that out, it's the same name as my YouTube channel, itskatehill. I had always wanted to write a book. I just didn't know if I was capable of doing it, because it is a huge undertaking. Most fiction books are anywhere from 90,000 to 100,000 words. That's a lot of words. And I just didn't know how I would have the commitment to continuously sit down and write, because really you either write a book chaotically or you write it on a schedule. I'd like to think that I was somewhere in between. I use the gardening technique. If you're familiar with the way books are written, the gardening technique is writing as you go, kind of plopping these characters in a world and seeing what happens. And then the planners are the ones, obviously, who have, you know, spreadsheets of every plot point, and this happens and then this and then this. I don't personally find that I work very well that way, but I know it works for so many people, especially if you are writing a fantasy novel. For a contemporary romance, I didn't really think it was that important, but I remember the book just kind of unfolded naturally. It's like I didn't even really have to think about it. I would just sit down and squeeze my brain, and these scenes would come to mind. That was a main thing too when I started, was I already had these images of certain scenes that I knew I wanted to have, and so I just wrote with those in mind, and I just sort of got there eventually. One of the hardest things about writing a book is starting, but I found in writing my book that once I started, I wanted to keep going. So I wrote 1 chapter, and I was like, okay, I've kind of started this thing. I don't know what to do next, and then I wrote another chapter. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of getting it now. And then I wrote another chapter. By chapter 3, I was like, okay, I am in this thing for the long haul. Those first couple of months of writing, I remember, were so joyful, but also I didn't really know what I was doing, because I was just sort of flying by the seat of my pants, just writing whatever came to mind. And then in June, I ended up getting COVID, so I fell off the writing train for, I think, like a month at that point, because I had COVID brain, and I just could not write for the life of me. Then I got back on track. My sleep schedule was really screwed up at that time because I would stay up till like 4 in the morning writing and I would sleep till 2 or 3. And that's just the way that it went because my inspiration would come mostly at night. And once my brain was on, I just wouldn't be able to stop writing, and then I would sometimes even see the sunrise, all to bring it into the world. The editing process was nuts because I have read my book more than any other book I've ever read in my life. I think I've read it 8 times at this point, and really it was just a lot of fine tuning and finding typos and stuff like that. I remember so distinctly the night that I finished it. I wrote that last word and I was just flooded with this feeling of, oh my God, I did it. I did it. I think it was like 4 something in the morning at that point. And I don't think I slept actually. I think I stayed up and I went to Staples and I printed out the very first draft of the novel. I've held on to it even though this is nowhere near the final draft, but this was such a special moment, printing it out and seeing. I remember thinking, oh my God, it's so much thicker than I thought it would be. I wrote all of these words. I was so proud of myself. I don't even know how to explain just how much this meant to me at the time. And it still does. I mean, clearly, like I've held on to it. I've talked about it so much. I sent it off to an editor back in, I think it was April. He had it for about 2 months and it came back. I read it through another 2 times, I think, to make sure that I liked the changes he made. I sent it off to an artist and then that artist didn't work out, so I used a friend of mine and I designed the cover ourselves. The marketing that goes into it, setting up all of the back-end stuff on Amazon for Kindle publishing, draft to digital, Ingram Spark. There's so many different avenues that you can go into. There's so much to learn. Formatting the book, margins. It's a lot to self-publish a book, and it is such a labor of love. It takes my breath away thinking about how much love goes into creating a story for other people to read. It's so special. Like, it makes me emotional talking about it and thinking about it. Writing a book and knowing what goes into producing it and publishing it has shown me the best parts of humanity. Because there's that quote that's something like, "This is how I feel, do you understand me too?" And books are like that. Books can be the most perfect mirrors to what we already have inside us. They can make us laugh, they can make us cry. We're staring at a piece of paper and hallucinating for hours on end, and we like throw it across the room, and it's not real, it's not actually happening, it's just on the page. And I love that so much. I love writers so much and books and stories, and that's partly why I wrote this book, because I wanted it to be like a sort of refuge for people if they needed a space to find themselves in. Oh my gosh. I have to talk about my Kickstarter too, and don't mind me, my eye just will not stop watering now. I launched a Kickstarter to help me fund publishing this book because I didn't have the funds to do it, and I was really stressed out about it. So I launched a Kickstarter with the goal of $2,000. I met that goal in 3 days, and it went even past that too. I ended up with way more than that 2,000, and it just blew my mind how supportive and lovely people can be. I have to say, some of the most beautiful, amazing support I've ever had have been from strangers on the internet, from cultivating an audience, whether that's on TikTok or Threads or Instagram. There are people out there who want to see you succeed. They want to help you bring your art into the world. And I experienced that firsthand throughout this entire process writing this book, and it just, again, takes my breath away every time I think about it because it's so selfless and so supportive. I can't give enough thanks for that. As of right now, I'm thinking the book is going to be published just on Amazon, and then maybe at some point I will do Ingram Spark and draft to digital, because I've heard from so many people online that it's worth it to do those other websites too, because there have been so many instances where they're like, my friend found my book in this random local bookstore in this part of the world, and they sent me a picture. And the idea of that happening sounds so wonderful, So I think I will do it sometime. I've just heard all of these negative things about Ingram, that they're difficult to work with and they cost a lot of money. Draft to digital, I don't even know that much about it, but I do think I will do those eventually, but I just want to get it out on Amazon first and go from there. But this has been thousands of hours of work, and it's crazy for me to look back on it and realize that writing the book was the easy part. All this stuff that happens afterwards, the editing, the actual getting it out to people part, that's the hard part. So I guess in one way, part of the reason I'm making this video is if you have an idea that you want to bring into the world, if you want to write a book, let this be your sign to do it. There are so many different ways that you can write it. Find what works best for you. You can bring your idea into the world, especially if you love it enough. Tomorrow's video is going to be very special because I think it's going to be a vlog of sorts. I'm getting my first proof copy of my book in the mail from Amazon. I'm going to hold my book in my hands for the very first time, and I think I'm going to do a vlog of me opening it up and looking at it. And it's not even, if the book does well or not is not up to me. Like, once it's out of an author's hands, it's out of their hands. I know that, like, okay, as a self-published author, you have a say in how you're gonna market it and stuff like that, but the book takes a life of its own once other people hold it in their hands. And I am okay with that because I wrote this to show myself how much I love myself and my creativity, and to take a painful situation and to put it into something transformative and creative. That is enough. Whether it is a New York Times bestseller or not is irrelevant to me. Obviously that would be fantastic, but it's not why I wrote it. We'll see what life it takes on after it's out in the world. Make sure to follow me on here or my other socials to get more updates on the book. There are a few things in my life I am as proud of as this book, and I'm so excited that everyone's gonna get to read it for themselves very, very soon. But I wanna thank you so much for watching this video. I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers, so it would mean a lot to me if you would like and subscribe. Please let me know down in the comments any thoughts you have. Do you want to write a book? What are your thoughts on everything that I talked about today? I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so excited, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.